blood splattered all over the walls. Literally looks like a scene out of like something you would see in an alien movie, right? And so I started exploring. Turns out there was aliens. They were experimenting on the aliens. It was really crazy. And like,
fuck around, really make it. Watch this, that I make them nauseous. All this fucking motion, I do everything but drop. I do everything but cautious. AC got me.
Welcome to a new segment of Shooting the Shit. It's me, Japanameer, and I'm kind of going solo dolo on this real quick. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we all know that Starfield just came out, and I've been having a blast playing it. But of course, with any new game that comes out, there's always some crazy level of controversy that's around it. And there's not a lot of people being just positive about their experience and the game. I will say on my time on YouTube, I have noticed one creator in particular who is very positive, does a very good job at highlighting all the great things about Starfield, even giving you some tips and tricks for getting started, and that's Starfield Unlocked. So if you guys haven't watched his content, or if you have, I hope you're subscribed to him because he makes really great content. Address some of the crazy controversy around Starfield. I know by now we've all seen that crazy video with that bald guy yelling about pronouns, right? Very wild thing to be yelling about. But if you haven't seen the clip, here's the clip.
Sorry, did you want to get immersed in our world? Yeah, well, guess what? Fucking pronouns! Fucking gender ambiguity! Fucking current day Californian shit! Because we're boring! We're so fucking...
So I just don't understand the anger for it. I can understand it from both sides of the argument, where it's like you got people who are like, it's just too political. Why is it blah, 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 right? But the thing about RPG games is no matter how we look at them, every single RPG, especially Bethesda RPGs, are always inherently political. There's always something political happening in the game that relates to some type of political conflict going on in our lives, right? That we can all relate to. For example, we had Skyrim, which had the Civil War. There's been civil wars all over throughout history. We all can relate to that. That is political. You got Fallout 3, where you have the super capitalist people trying to steal all the water so the poor people can't have the water, or the wastelanders can't have the water. That's political. Like, so everything we do is political. Adding pronouns is not political. Now, I can get how you think it's politically charged. Sure, I can understand the argument. I don't agree with it. And I think it's really crazy. There's a lot of YouTubers that also kind of covered that. At the end of the day, though, like, it's the same thing as like Pokemon asking you, are you a boy or a girl? So if that's the same thing, right? If we can acknowledge that when you use pronouns, right? If someone says I'm a he, him, right? Chances are they probably identify as a man 9 times out of 10. If someone identifies as she, her 9 times out of 10, probably identify as a woman, right? So there's really no difference between gender and pronouns, right? So there's that. Let's get that out the way. But there was a lot of controversy around that, especially when there was a mod that came out on the NEXUS, right? So I don't know, for those who don't, mod games, the NEXUS is a website that you can go to and download mods for games. Very popular for games like Starfield right now, Fallout and Skyrim, most of the Elder Scrolls series. Just about any game that's been out there that has mod support, you can find mods on the NEXUS. It's a great website. And they had a mod that took out the pronouns, and it was up for like, a week maybe. And then the NEXUS took it down, and a couple of creators voiced their opinions on it. I know this one, Edmian TV, I do watch his content. Generally, he makes pretty decent content. I do disagree with him on this, though. He approached it as against them taking it down. Like, if it's not a problem, why'd you take it down? Or just stuff like that. And the main thing is, though, it's not a problem because you just don't have to pick those pronouns. It's not worth getting mad like the bald dude did and start yelling. It's not worth all that. You just don't pick the pronouns, right? So you just pick whatever fits with you. And even if you feel as though it's a delusion or something like that, right? We're all playing a fictional video game. We're all in some form of delusion playing this game. We're all playing as these characters. So why couldn't people just roleplay how they want to roleplay in the game, right? It's just not a big deal. It's just not a big deal. But that's pretty much all the controversy that I really wanted to talk about. I really wanted to get out on here and talk about some positive things that are happening within Starfield, or even just positive things that Starfield has to offer. We see a lot of people online talking about how the worlds are empty and everything like that. Oh, there's nothing to do. It's just this randomly generated spot. You can't travel all around the planet and all these things. And I really think a lot of people got the wrong impression from other games, kind of like No Man's Sky, right? No Man's Sky is a great game. You can go anywhere you want to on the planet, full seamless. Like, you can get on your jet or your ship and you can fly from one end of the planet all the way to the other, all the way around it if you really, felt the need to do that. And that's a very cool feature, right? The only thing about No Man's Sky that never made sense to me is that no matter what planet you went on, 90% of them had some form of sentient life on it. Somebody who's involved in the civilization and the commerce of the system. There is always somebody on a planet. And that to me just didn't make any sense, because you would think there'd be some lifeless planets where there's just no reason for anybody to be on there, but not in No Man's Sky. And that just always kind of took me out of it, right? Now, with the people at Bethesda, they said this is going to be as close to a realistic space travel game as you can get. There are going to be empty planets. We got 100 star systems to travel with over 1,000 planets, like something like that. So if we got something like that going on, why would we assume that all these planets would just be full and lush and full of things to do? Most planets are just rocks, right? Like the moon. Like, do you think people are just going to go to the moon and just settle on the moon? Probably not. There's nothing there. There's no atmosphere. You can't really do a lot. Maybe there might be some domes or something like that, but like planets that we've never been to. I think in the story of Starfield, and I could be wrong, so someone feel free to correct me, but it's only been a couple of 100 years of them, settling it amongst the universe, amongst the galaxy, right? So it stands to reason that a lot of these planets you're going to go to aren't going to really have anything but maybe some weird insect creatures or something like that on it. Now, I understand a lot of people don't like that. I get it. There is one thing I do agree. I wish they had mounts, but to be honest, I'm not the type of person who's just trying to go everywhere. I just go to where I want to go, loot, and then leave. And I think Starfield's done a great job. It really feels like Fallout, a better Fallout, but in space, which is pretty much what they were advertising anyway. So I don't know. I just feel like there's been so much fun stuff that I've done in Starfield. There was one mission I got. I wouldn't even call it a mission, but I landed on this random planet. I was just picking random star systems to go to, landed on this planet. I wish I could tell the name of it, but I do have a picture of it. So if you look at this and look at this scene, it's gruesome. It's horrific. Like, I walked in to this lab and there's just dead people everywhere. Right? They're really crazy. And like, there's no story to it really until I started like looking for computers, and I found a computer. It had a whole bunch of information on it about how there's this group of scientists and they were trying to, splice like human DNA with some alien DNA, and something went wrong. One of the species broke out, killed one of the people, laid eggs somewhere, and then took over the whole facility. And that was a random thing I came across. That's not a side mission. It's not something you could just talk to somebody and you're going to get it and it's going to take you there. It was a random occurrence. That was something that was generated into that world space. And that's the beauty of that procedural generation. And I just think that people overlook that. I think a lot of people want all these big flashy stuff, but we've never really had mounts outside of horses in any Bethesda titles, really, right? So it's like I said, I get it. Like, you want to travel, you want to do all these things, but you also got to take the time to really look at the beauty of what they've done. Even on the empty planets, there's always something to find. The fact that they even generate things for you to travel to, caves, all types of things for you to go inside of, that alone adds to that sense of adventure. It's kind of like they said they wanted to be like a narrative thing. And I think people thought, oh, they're trying to make a narrative. No, you're supposed to make the narrative. Whenever I land on these empty planets, I'm always like, oh man, I wonder what happened here. Why is this so derelict? What happened? I just come up with stories in my own head as to what's even going on. Even why my character went to the planet. Like, I do all types of stuff like that. And I know for some people, that's not what they like to do. A lot of people just want to, hey, that's the mission, go there, do that, And for them, I ain't coming at y'all. I ain't knocking y'all. Play the game how you want to play the game. I know a lot of other people have been talking about like the AI too. Like, I will say I've experienced a couple of issues with the AI, but I downloaded this pretty cool mod. Here's the link to the mod. Definitely check that mod out. It makes the combat 10 times better, especially if you put it on very hard mode. I don't know what happens on the other difficulties, but I play the game on very hard mode. I play it on the hardest difficulty. I like to struggle. I'm a masochist though, so if you're not that type of person, don't do that with the game. But all in all, I would honestly probably rate Starfield like at least a 9 out of 10 for me. It's served all the things that I needed it to serve. It hit every little tiny checkbox except for like 1 or 2. And I know those 1 or 2 things are going to get fixed with mods, so I'm not really complaining. But I think all in all, though, especially when it comes to like some of the controversy and some of the issues surrounding Starfield, the only thing I'm going to say is try the game for yourself. Maybe you'll enjoy it, maybe you won't. You know what I'm saying? But at least give it a fair shot and then rate it. You know, it's kind of funny how people tried to review bomb it, and that wasn't good. They failed. They failed. It was so bad. This game has got millions of gamers on it already. Millions. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about Starfield, definitely hit up Starfield Unlocked. He does an amazing job at answering content. I would say hit me up, but I'm not always going to be talking about Starfield. But if you got any questions you want me to answer anything, feel free to hit me in the comments below. And thank you for checking out Shooting the Shit. I'll catch y'all later.
Fuck around, really make it. Watch this, let I make them nauseous. All this fucking motion, I do everything but drop.